So Bertley asks Kris if he wants to go hang out at the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and you, the player, not caring about what Kris thinks, forces him to tag along with Bertley. There, inside of Freddy's, Kris gets bored and decides to crack open a dark fountain. That is where this video begins. Hello, my fellow Deltarooners, and welcome back to the Casino Co. YouTube channel. Remember that short I made where I asked that question?
Happen if Kris from Deltaroon opened up a dark fountain inside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza?
Well, today I am going to be answering that question. But before we get started, I just found out that it was Undertale's 10-year anniversary recently. I know I'm a little late on the hype train, but Undertale has been a life changer for me, really developing my own writing abilities and character development skills. Heck, the Big Shot collection and the Slotfest collection probably wouldn't even exist without Undertale. By the way, go watch the Big Shot collection and the Slotfest collection on the Casino Co. YouTube channel. I have them both playlisted or whatnot. The audio quality's not the greatest, but still, it's still there to listen to. So thank you, Undertale, for all the memories. Anyways, let's crack open a dark fountain at Freddy's. Now, before we get started, what even is a dark fountain? A dark fountain is needed to create a dark world, and just about any lightener can create them. All you need is a sharp object, a load of determination, and then plunge that blade into the earth and poof, dark fountain! The dark worlds created from the dark fountains are what causes things to get darker than dark, as Rouse explained in chapter 3. When things get darker than dark, the items that you have and know start to take life, and the world around you, as the song says, starts to feel like a fantasy. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is one of the most famous locations in all of gaming, where the events of Five Nights at Freddy's took place. In Freddy's Pizzeria, each of the animatronics are possessed by a dead child, thanks to a certain purple guy, and it's your job as the night guard to survive. But of course, if you're watching this video, you probably already know all this already. So let's start off with the world building. Each dark world, they typically all have a reoccurring theme. Chapter 2 was computer-based, Chapter 4 was church and scripture-based, and Chapter 1 was... Anyways, I digress. The point is, each dark world typically has 3 areas and a theme. Freddy's Pizzeria has many themes to it. A dining area, a play place, an arcade, and so much more, which means we have a lot to work with. So let's start off with Area 1. Area 1 will be based off the arcade and the mini games from Five Nights at Freddy's. There will be an obstacle here similar to what happened before the Queen fight, along with a whole bunch of new obstacles like sparkling wires. This area will be pretty dark and gloomy. In fact, all areas will be dark and gloomy up until the third area. The area will be highly pixelated and colorful in some parts, and dark and riveting in the areas not directly based off the arcade games. Area 2 will start in a labyrinth-like area where there are tons of dining room tables lined up, and it's eternally dark, with the only light being produced coming from Kris's soul, much like the end of Chapter 4. The second part will use the kitchen as a base for the second area, with a plethora of blades and obstacles sawing around your head. And lastly, there will be a circus area with a ball pit and a jungle gym. I can imagine the ball pit being creepy as all hell, with creatures lurking in it that you have to avoid. The jungle gym won't be too confusing to navigate, especially coming off of the pitch black hellscape that was the dining area labyrinth. In fact, it will be rather fun, being high-paced with fun music. Those are my ideas for the designs of the areas. Now let's talk about the enemies. Now for the enemies in Deltaroon, there are living household items come to life, and Toby Fox has a really creative way of doing this. For example, If you never played Deltarune before and saw a picture of Lancer, would you ever think he was formerly a Jack of Spades? Probably not, but yet his design hints at it so minutely that when it's revealed, it all makes so much sense. So logically speaking, there are many different forms the enemies could possibly take, and the same thing goes for the areas, but let's narrow it down a little. I said that for my imaginary FNAF Deltarune crossover, that the first area would be based off the arcade. Very quick, let's come up with a name for the area 1. How about we try Retro Graveyard? Ooh, I think I like that. Fits perfectly with how I described the area earlier. Anyways, for this area, it would be cool to see some of the 8-bit sprites from the minigames reused as enemies, along with some new faces based off of Chapter 2 enemies, with werewires and run-down looking swatches. For the boss of this area, it would be cool to see them use the sprite for William Afton, except he's not actually William Afton. He's just a really chill dude by the name of Uncle Willie. After your battle, he will say that he confused you for someone else, hinting at the existence of other Lightners in the area. Uncle Willie will primarily be an upgrade smith for Birdley's new arm cannon, which I'm not going to color out for you for the sake of the length of the video. Area 2 will have all new fresh enemies based off of party supplies and kitchen cutlery. The second area will be called the dining area. I know, a lot more simple than Retro Graveyard. Enemies in this area would be based off of party hats, tables, show lights, and so much more. They could make a really cool enemy out of the show lights, having little green light, red light mini-games. The party hats could be a lot like the mouses, working together to overwhelm the player. The kitchen subsection of this area has a multitude of pots and pans and knives and blades that all have the potential of becoming really iconic enemies. For the boss of this area, I think it would be really funny to have the office fan, and it would make a really interesting gimmick as well with the wind blowing. It could force the souls in different directions, forcing you to have a quick reaction so that you can dodge the obstacle that the fan throws you towards. The last area, called Party Time Circus, will be the last area of the game, kind of like Card Castle or Queen's Mansion. In this area, enemies that look like they were pulled straight out of Circus Baby's Pizza World will attack. Who knows, maybe even the Paper Pals or the module animatronics could make an appearance. In the ball pit section, it would be interesting to see some shadow-like creatures roaming in there, trying to grab at you and leech at you. There won't be a boss to the last area, but rather a hellish obstacle course that you have to survive, with the area around you producing the bullet hell rather than a singular enemy. Now, I bet you're thinking, man, that seems rather anticlimactic for the ending. Nothing was gained. And you'd be correct. Kris and Birdley just steal the fountain, leaving Rouse behind, who joined them later on their journey. So, is there perchance a secret ending? Of course there is! It's Deltarune! Now introducing the Fazbear Crew. How are the Fazbear Crew gonna be portrayed in the Dark World? Don't they contain the souls of Del children, which are Lightners, and they themselves are machines, which could be considered Darkners? Well, what if they were combined and mashed together like an amalgamate? Here, let me explain. Remember how the Dark World brought Gerson Boom back to life? Well, it would be pretty reasonable to think that the same thing would happen to the crying children, right? But aren't they fused together with the animatronics through some type of remnant thing? Correct, they are. So the goal of these individual battles would be to separate the Lightner from the Darkner through a type of minigame. You know the Werewire minigame, right? Where you have to throw someone at the X's? Well, it would be kind of like that, except Birdley is now using his arm cannon he got from Uncle Willie. After beating each boss, the child's soul, still retaining some of its ghostly sorcery, will disappear, leaving you with just the Darkner, which will have the same goofy personality you'd come to expect from a member of the Fazbear Crew. You will see them throughout the game, hinting towards where the next member will be. Now, how do you come across these difficult encounters? Well, throughout the first 2 areas, there are 6 pages, and if you collect 3 of them, you'll unlock one of the secret encounters. It'll add an extra layer to depth to each area, giving you more reason to explore. Each area will have 2 secret encounters, and the darkener you separate from the lightener will appear in the area you're in or the area you're about to go in, giving you hints as to where the next pictures will be. In the Party Time Circus, there will be a secret encounter with Cassidy, who will not be fused to an animatronic due to being a hallucination, I think. After defeating all the encounters, a boss will appear at the end, along with the obstacle course before being significantly easier than before. The final boss will be Gabriel, Susie, Jeremy, and Fritz, and not including Cassidy, because she already had her own secret encounter towards the 3rd part of the chapter, after typing 1987 into a keypad. The final boss will be rather difficult, pulling in gimmicks from the previous 4 secret encounters in the chapter, along with the abilities from the human souls from Undertale. After some intercourse with the souls, explaining why, revenge is bad, the children get sick of you, deciding that they can find a better flesh suit elsewhere, ending the battle. So what's the plot that's going to keep this story running? Rousey is offended at the beginning of the story, claiming that Kris doesn't take them seriously. After all, he did warn us about the roaring, but then Kris opens up a dark fountain for fun? The thing is, though, Kris did not make the decision. You did. You made him do it. So he has to battle the guilt for something he didn't do, shown through slight glimpses while surviving a dark world based off of Five Nights at Freddy's. The character that's going to get the most development is Birdley. He already got a healthy humbling in Chapter 2, but this time we're going to traumatize him. After witnessing the events that transpired at Freddy's through glimpses around the world, it really starts to get to him, just like how Spam to Neo got to Kris. He starts off arrogant and annoying as always, but as the horrors continue, let's just say it gives him a healthy dose of reality. Thank you all so much for watching my concept of what would happen if Kris opened a dark fountain inside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And remember, this is just my concept, so it might not be the definitive concept. Everyone's welcome to always create their own concept. This is just something I wanted to whip together, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, happy 10-year anniversary to Undertale, and please like and subscribe so that I can reach 10,000 subscribers before I fossilize. Bye-bye!